Two brothers found a wallet in the rain, but what happened when they returned it stunned an entire city. This is a story about honesty, hope, and how one small choice can change a destiny. If you love emotional real-life stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more. The rain had been falling for hours, turning the streets of downtown Chicago into silver rivers. Cars splashed through puddles, umbrellas turned inside out, and the cold wind whipped around corners as if it had something to prove. 12-year-old twins Malik and Mason Johnson knew this kind of weather better than most. Growing up on the South Side, they had learned to walk to school in snowstorms, help their neighbors push stalled cars, and shield their mother with their own jackets when she didn't have one thick enough. They were used to life being a little harder, a little colder, a little louder. But today's storm felt different, heavier, stranger, almost like the sky itself was waiting for something. The boys had just left the community center where they spent their afternoons. Their mother worked double shifts at the hospital, so the center had become their second home. A place with warmth, snacks, and tutors who told them they were brilliant, a word they didn't hear often enough. As they hurried down the street, Malik elbowed his brother and pointed. "Yo, look, what's that?" Mason followed his gaze. There, lying half submerged in a puddle, was a brown leather wallet, darkened and swollen from the rain. They glanced around. People rushed past them, heads down, umbrellas tilted forward, no one noticing anything but the storm. Mason bent down and picked it up. "It's real leather, heavy too." Malik sighed. "We should open it, maybe it has an ID." Inside the wallet was a stack of bills so thick that Mason's hand trembled just holding it. There were cards, credit cards, business cards, membership cards, and an ID with a man's photo. Malik whistled quietly. "Bro, this dude looks important." But it was the amount of cash that made them both freeze. This was not a few dollars, not even a couple hundred. It was thousands, enough to help their mom pay rent, enough for new shoes, enough for groceries for a month, maybe two. Mason swallowed. "We could really help Mom." Malik nodded slowly. "Yeah, we could, but what if this guy needs it more than we think?" Mason hesitated, then sighed. "You're right, let's find him." They started scanning the street, looking at faces, comparing them to the man on the ID. The rain made it hard, everything blurred, reflections doubling and stretching across windows and pavement. Then, about half a block away, they saw him. An older man stood motionless in the storm, patting down his coat pockets with rising panic. He wore a long blue overcoat soaked through, his hair plastered to his head. He looked exhausted, like the rain wasn't what bothered him, but something deeper. Mason pointed. "That's him." The twins exchanged a look and sprinted toward him. "Sir, excuse us," Malik called out. The man turned sharply, startled. Mason held out the wallet with both hands. "Is this yours, sir?" The man stared at it, then at them, then back at the wallet. For several seconds, he did not move. His face shifted from confusion to disbelief, to something the boys didn't expect, relief mixed with something close to heartbreak. "Yes," he finally whispered. It is mine." He took the wallet carefully, as if afraid it might disappear again. "Where did you?" "In the street, over there," Mason said. "It was in a puddle." The man exhaled shakily. "You boys don't understand what this means to me." Malik shrugged with a shy smile. "Well, you look like you needed it." For the first time, the man smiled. It was small at first, hesitant, as if he hadn't used his smile in years. Then it grew warmer. "I do, more than you know." The billionaire no one recognized. The man's name was Harrington Cole. The twins didn't know it yet, but he was one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the city. But today, no one would have recognized him. He looked nothing like the polished man in magazines or the confident figure on stage at business conferences. Wearing a soaked coat and worn shoes, he looked like any other tired soul caught in the storm. "Why were you standing out here alone?" Mason asked. Harrington chuckled softly, though there was no humor in it. "I had a meeting nearby. It didn't go well, and then I lost my wallet. Let's just say, today has been a heavy day." Malik tilted his head. "Was it, like, a job meeting?" The man smiled weakly. "You could say that. It was about a project, a very important one. Something I've been building for years. But the investors backed out. Without that funding," his voice drifted off. Mason and Malik exchanged a glance. They didn't know anything about investors or business deals, but they understood disappointment. They understood losing something after trying so hard. "You should get out of the rain," Malik said gently. Harrington nodded. "I will, but first," he looked at the boys with a kind of amazement. You two just returned something most adults wouldn't. And you didn't hesitate. Mason shrugged again. Our mom raised us right. Harrington stared at them proudly. I can see that. An unexpected invite. Where do you boys live? Harrington asked. Mason pointed north. A few blocks that way. We're walking home. Harrington hesitated. Would you allow me to walk with you for a bit? I'd like to thank you properly. The twins exchanged a quick silent moment of twin communication, the kind that didn't require words. Malik nodded. You can walk with us. It's cool. They moved together down the sidewalk. Rain fell harder, but the city lights reflecting in the puddles made everything look magical in a strange, silver way. As they walked, the boys talked about school, the community center, their mom working long hours, their dream of starting a small business one day, maybe a sneaker restoration shop. Harrington listened intently, as if every word mattered. You two remind me of myself when I was your age, he said. I grew up in a neighborhood a lot like yours. Mason blinked. You did, really, absolutely. I didn't have much money, but I had hope, and I had people around me who wanted me to believe in myself. Malik smiled. That's like our community center. Harrington paused in the rain. Take me there. The visit that changed it all. When they walked into the community center, dripping from the rain, Ms. Rivera, the director, looked up in surprise. Boys, you're soaked. And who is? Oh my goodness, sir, you need a towel. Harrington laughed, touched by her concern. They gave him towels, warm tea, and a chair beside the heater. The twins told her the whole story. Ms. Rivera clasped her hands together. Such good boys. Their mother works so hard. They're always helping others. Harrington watched the room, the cracked basketballs, the mismatched chairs, the kids sharing 2 computers, the leaky roof patched with plastic sheeting. This place, it keeps a lot of children safe, Ms. Rivera said softly. But funding is tight. We make miracles happen with very little. Harrington said nothing at first, but his eyes shone with a thought forming quietly, powerfully. The twins' mother, later that evening, when their mother, Tiana Johnson, came to pick them up after her shift, she froze when she saw the older man standing beside her sons. Mama, this is Mr. Cole, Malik said. We found his wallet. Tiana pressed a hand to her chest. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you returned it. Boys, you did the right thing. She turned to Harrington with genuine warmth. Sir, I'm sorry they bothered you. Not at all, he said. They gave me something I haven't felt in a long time, hope. Tiana smiled, tired but grateful. They do that, even when our days are rough. Harrington studied her face, the exhaustion beneath her kindness. She was the type of mother who worked until her legs ached and still managed to smile for her children. You've raised remarkable sons, he said. She looked at her boys proudly. I just try to teach them to stay true to who they are. The next morning, the city woke up to sunshine. The storm had passed. Mason and Malik were eating cereal when they heard a knock at the door. Their mother opened it, and her breath caught. Standing on the steps was Harrington, dressed cleanly in a tailored suit, looking completely different from the soap stranger they'd met. Mr. Cole, she whispered. You look presentable, he laughed. Yes. Yesterday was a difficult day for me. Today, things are about to change, for all of us. He held a folder in his hand. I couldn't sleep last night, he said. Your sons reminded me of why I started my company, to give opportunities to people with heart and integrity. I want to give back to the community that raised me, and your boys helped me remember that mission. He opened the folder. Inside were documents, plans, and sketches. I'm rebuilding the community center, he said. A full renovation, new computers, sports equipment, tutoring programs, mentorship workshops, everything these kids deserve. Tiana gasped. Mr. Cole, that's incredible. And, he added gently, I want to start a scholarship fund named after your sons, the Johnson Brothers Future Leaders Fund. For kids who show honesty, leadership, and courage. The boys' mouths fell open. For real? Mason whispered. For real? Harrington said. You two changed my day. Now I want to change your future. The city reacts. A few weeks later, news spread across Chicago. 2 young brothers return lost wallet, inspire major community investment. Reporters visited the neighborhood, but the twins stayed humble, smiling shyly, holding each other's shoulders during interviews. The community center was renovated from top to bottom. There were new classrooms, art rooms, a tech center, a recording studio, a small library, and a beautiful new gym. Kids poured in every day with excitement. and hanging in the hallway was a framed plaque, "The Johnson Brothers Future Leaders Fund, inspired by integrity built on hope." Harrington visited often, sometimes to speak, sometimes just to see the boys. He became not a hero, but a mentor, a presence, a believer in their potential. And every time he came by, he'd look at them with the same awe he felt the day they held his wallet out to him in the storm. Years later, the story didn't end there. Years passed, the scholarship fund grew, hundreds of kids received opportunities they once thought were unreachable. Malik eventually opened a business, Johnson Sneaker Renewal, a shop so successful it spread to multiple locations. Mason became a youth mentor and eventually director of the community center that once had peeling paint and leaky ceilings. And every anniversary of that rainy day, the twins met with Harrington for lunch. "Hard to believe it all started with a wallet," Mason said one year. Harrington smiled warmly. "No, it started with honesty. The wallet was just the bridge." Malik raised his glass, "To bridges," and, Harrington added, "to the future leaders who walk across them." The lesson that never fades. Life isn't always easy, storms will always come, but sometimes, in the middle of the rain, a choice appears, a chance to do the right thing, a moment to show who you truly are, and when you take that moment, you never know whose life you might touch, or how your own destiny might change. For Malik and Mason Johnson, two kids walking home in the rain, that moment created ripples of hope that reached far beyond what they could have ever imagined. A simple act of honesty, an unexpected friendship, a community transformed, a future rewritten, all because two brothers chose kindness, and kindness always comes back.